time for game number 3. Effect versus Gambit Esports here in the lower bracket of the Perfect World Masters CIS qualifiers. Scoreline is 1-1, which means that this game will decide which of these teams will move on and which one will drop out of the qualifiers entirely. My name is Dragon Job. I'm still joined by Franz. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, and this should be a pretty exciting game 3. I mean, Gambit put on a good show in game 2 after a couple of losses, and I think the number one thing for Gambit coming out of game 2 is that they looked really strong as a team, you know? It always felt like they were one step ahead of the Effect lineup.
Yeah. Do you think they can replicate this? Is there some sort of mental momentum that they have now coming into this?
I think so. I mean, it definitely felt like Gambit were on top of their game there. They were breaking all of Effect's smokes and teamfight attempts perfectly. They kind of had Effect feeling like they were in a position where, you know, with the Drow Ranger and the Enchantress, that they had to continue fighting and trying to make something happen in the mid game. But instead, you know, Gambit, they turned every fight. And I think they definitely, in terms of mentality, probably have a little bit of an upper hand. Not to say that Effect can't really reset after that loss, but
10 seconds remaining.
we'll see what happens.
Yep. Well, they definitely have enough experience under their belt to be able to deal with a loss like that. And Gambit Esports, now they take the Enchantress themselves together with the Shadow Shaman. So a lot of aggression, a lot of early push coming out from that too. As well as, of course, the later push potential that Shadow Shaman always brings you with the with that ultimate. So, Effect, they get the Venom answer first, and now plenty of time to find ways to deal with that, though.
Yeah, and you know, these two heroes coming out from Gambit, they're extremely early game oriented. Both the Enchantress and the Shadow Shaman are very good from like level 1 onwards, and so in fact they kind of have to pick heroes to mitigate that, but I'm not sure if Doom is exactly the best pick. I've seen a lot of heroes try to pick Doom against the Enchantress, but you know, Enchantress, her enchant cooldown is much lower than Devour, but also the hero itself, Enchantress, is much more mobile than Doom, and so you know, you never really want to position, if it's a position for a Doom, you never really want the Doom just playing reactively to the Enchantress's movements, right?
Yeah.
Especially because the Enchantress can out trade the Doom in most scenarios.
It's a bit odd. I get to hear the crops up every now and again in the CS scene these days. And last time Effect ran it was yesterday, actually, in a series against Na'Vi. But they ended up losing that game. Normally it's still picked up as some sort of heavy counter. It's that anti-carry with that ultimate, but...
Doom seems kind of a hit or miss hero this patch to me, right? Yeah. Just because, you know, there's a lot of ways to play around him. Like, if you can disengage from after the Doom gets casted, I mean, you basically win for the next 2 minutes just because the cooldown on that spell is so long, but also Doom as a hero doesn't want to be constantly fighting just because of the nature of the hero, the cooldowns, and also just wanting to devour creeps as much as possible.
Yeah. He works best when the enemy team kind of fights into you and doesn't really respect your ability to just stay in a team fights with like these early points on the Scorched Earth early on.
Yeah, I mean, the hero does basically remove a hero from the game. The only problem to me is that, like, there's not a lot of easy targets right now, right? Gambit can start picking heroes that deal well with getting doomed. You know, like high physical damage heroes that don't rely on getting their items or spells off, or just heroes in general that are fast or able to disengage.
Classic ones would be Death Prophets, like also heroes that are fine with just continuing to fight once their ultimates have already been popped.
Yeah, or a hero like Faceless Void, which I think complements Gambit's lineup really well. I mean, Faceless Void is a natural Linken's buyer, and you know, he doesn't mind expending his ultimate to just take out the Doom alone, just because Doom is such a priority target.
Yep.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, for now, the bans have taken a little while. Ancient Apparition and Darkseer taken away, and the Weaver.
So Effect have given out a lot of more information about their lineup than Gambit, right? Just because they have 2 cores. Both of these cores aren't very mobile, so there's not a lot of split pushing potential. So Gambit can kind of like counteract that, like either drop more split push or draft around the fact that they don't have a lot of split push, or just, you know, pick really high mobility heroes that can continue to dodge this Doom and Venomancer.
Yep. Oh. So what's the solution here? I mean,
Effect can pick something like an Earthshaker or a Spirit Breaker to sort of guarantee their fights. Make sure that the enemy team can't disengage. So maybe a combination like Puck Spirit Breaker or Puck Earthshaker or Puck Disruptor. Just as much catch as possible just to prevent Gambit from being able to disengage, because Gambit's going to want to disengage or going to want to end these fights decisively, just because Doom and Venomancer are both heroes that they get better in team fights the longer the fights go, right? Just because they're both reliant on damage over times.
Yeah. Well, Ursa picked up here as it's left in the pool from effect, not banning it out. So I'm not picking it either for now. It's a bit of a block pick as well, and also a hero that is together with Legion Commander as well. All guns facing forward now from Gambit Esports. They want to be able to initiate, get these quick picks between these heroes, and then just start snowballing into the fight off of that.
And so with this Crystal Maiden pick, I think Effect we're looking for something to help counteract the Enchantress in the early game, but also it gives them a little bit of kite factor for the Ursa.
5 seconds remaining.
And Crystal Maiden is like a deceivingly good hero in the early. I think both of her spells are quite good at level 1, and that makes her one of the better level like 2, 3, 4, 5 heroes.
Yeah.
Well, the only drawback about the hero is that she moves around slowly, but depending on the player, you can sort of position yourself a little bit better.
Yeah. Like it's a very strong hero if you underestimate her, I think. And if she gets these early couple of levels, right, you need the Frostbite, of course, you start with that, but then you also want to get 2 or 3 points into the Arcane Aura as quickly as possible, just to help out your other teams. And Doom will be able to take advantage of that quite nicely. He's very mana-starved early on, and Venomancer as well to some degree. He can spam out wards much more liberally with the CM on her team.
I think Effect have 2 options here. Either they pick something that can help save their heroes, or a hero that doesn't care about getting dueled, or they can pick a hero that sort of initiates quite decisively. And Mirana is a hero that is very difficult to catch for Gambit, but also a hero that can help the dual target, right? You can arrow the Legion Commander, you can arrow the Ursa, and that's always an effective way to sort of mitigate the effects of Legion Commander.
Also gives you that magical burst damage that they've been lacking so far up against the Enchantress.
5 seconds remaining.
And just to try and leap in, Starfall, burst it down with that.
Mirana to me is sort of this hero that teams pick when they want sort of this unkillable core hero. Like, she's quite difficult to kill, and also like an early game oriented hero that kind of scales well into the late game.
Yep.
So Mirana's like, there's this concept of Dota right now, I think, in this meta, where you want as many heroes that are eager to fight in the early game as possible, just so it makes it easier for your team to snowball. Because if the enemy team has 5 heroes that want to constantly fight, and it looks like Gambit already have 4 heroes that constantly want to fight, then they're gonna have the upper hand in all of these engagements. And the only time you wouldn't want to do that is if you have a hero like Anti-Mage or Alchemist on your team. Then your focus kind of changes from 5-on-5 fighting to making as much space and skirmishes happen on the map as possible.
Yep. Well, let's see what they want to do with that Mirana pick. Will probably end up in the middle lane. So that's where you see most Miranas run, but of course there's some flexibility there.
10 seconds remaining.
She's quite flexible. I think they're going to put her in
5
one of the
seconds
lanes that
remaining.
they think Gambit Esports is going to run this Enchantress in.
Dire team pick.
Mirana's a hero that can arrow the creep, and also just a hero that can escape the Enchantress in general. And so they're probably going to put the Pugna middle, just because you wouldn't normally put a Pugna offlane, though it is possible.
Yeah. That Pugna makes things a little bit more interesting, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah, it does, and it gives them sort of a hero that does really well against Earth. They Gripify. None of Gambit's cores right now can really deal damage. There's not enough magic damage from Gambit Esports' lineup, but also really the only natural diffusal buyer right now is Ursa. So
yeah.
the Decripify is gonna pose a huge problem for Effect, and I think that Sniper pick was quite smart, because Effect don't actually have any ways to jump the Sniper, so this Doom is going to want to be sort of on top of his farm game, just so that he can become tanky and become enough of a nuisance that he can sort of get on top of the sniper every fight with like
Yep.
a blink or a shadow blade.
Kind of with those items, maybe have the centaur creep eaten, so you have that stun available. Yeah, outside of that, I mean, I can definitely see Gambit just play around the Pugna to some extent. Like, if it's the only counterplay that you have, then it's definitely something that you can play around. Just the Decrepifying Duel is something that you can avoid by just doing the mag himself before he gets it off. And as you said, that the Ursa will have a Diffusal Blade before long. If the game moves well enough. So, I don't know, I kind of like Gambit's lineup here.
Yeah, and Sniper is sort of that hero you pick when you sense that the enemy team doesn't have enough long range initiation or enough jump, because Sniper obviously excels in games where the enemy team can't get on top of him, but
Yeah.
I think definitely if Effect managed to snowball, I think the Sniper's going to have a lot of trouble coming back into the game, just because he's got the constant threat of the Doom and the Mirana leaping onto him.
Yeah. Would be off to a decent start on the middle lane, right? I mean, Bignum probably spent a lot of time just roaming between that and the top lane. Or
Yeah, Bignum's probably
yeah.
going to get a lot done this game, but you know, Effect have drafted 3 sort of counters to the Enchantress creeps. You got the Devour, you have Frostbite, you have Arrow, and so
Yeah.
I definitely feel like Effect have the answers to every hero on Gambit except the Sniper, and as a result, you know, if Effect manage to play their cards right, I think that they can definitely take this game a lot more easily than Gambit.
Alright, do we have another pause? Is that what's happening? Of course.
Yes, we do, if you open the chat in the bottom right.
Yeah. Throwing me off
Pause
so much
Gambit.
because I expect the versus screen like coming up any moment. But no, the teams not only pause when a game started, when we already loaded in, no, they pause before that now. It's like, ugh. You don't even find out unless you open the chat box.
I wonder if it's like a hardware issue where if someone's just AFK, because
It's a
this has
3-star
happened
Dota,
every
so, yeah.
game, right?
Yeah. Maybe just Gambit having like finishing a smoke or something. Who knows with these teams. But yeah, before long we'll head into this game number 3. The winner will move on, the loser will drop out of the Perfect World of Masters CIS qualifiers. It's as easy as that.
And so, you know, I think one of the problems with the Effect lineup is that it doesn't feel like they scale into the ultra late game very well. I mean, Venomancer is a hero that kind of falls off from like the 40-minute mark, but perhaps the best late game hero on Effect is Pugna, and that's not really something you want. I mean, Pugna's a beast late game, but definitely feel like Gambit's damage output coming in from like a 40-minute mark, it's a lot higher.
Oh yeah. If all this physical damage throughout, like you have a sniper which has the possibility to become a big nuisance with a lot of farm. Like he stays all the way in the back and he just blinks away with so much right click damage that it's like almost impossible to take a fight against him if he's properly positioned. You have a Legion Commander here, depending on how well Cheshire Cat does, he can also start stacking up damage like a madman. And eventually that'll just be too much eventually they'll just overwhelm effects. I feel like.
I mean, definitely, but Effect, I think they're more than capable of sealing this game early. You have the Pugna and the Venomancer sort of siege towers safely, and also, you know, it feels like Effect's early game is definitely beating Gambit in sort of a rock, paper, scissors right now.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if they work it out. Well, the Bignum can pull out some tricks out of his hat despite being disadvantaged on the creep front.
I think the real thing that will define this game is whether or not that Ursa gets an early Roshan this time, because it feels like, again, similar to last game, like Gambit, they need that Aegis to sort of turn the team fights into their favor.
Udo's dropping out. King R will not be spotted on the way back either, so this Observer Ward, not the most common spot. We'll keep an eye on rotations here from Bignum if he's sticking around in this side of the map.
Both teams playing pretty defensively. I don't think either team's really going to make a quick movement for a bounty rune. I mean, it's not really worth it. Neither team really wins the a level 1 exchange decisively, so focus on the lanes, you know. Morana gonna get our block. Doom's going to set himself up to eat a creep, and it is an offlane Pugna, so something you don't usually see, but something that's quite effective, because with those boots, the Pugna moves at 380 move speed, so you know, not an easy catch for the Shadow Shaman and the Ursa.
Yeah. Shadow Shaman has boots as well, and he's hitting 330, so it's a bit ridiculous, that move speed differential between some heroes, but it's...
You know, Effect have like the fastest and the slowest hero on the same team, right? You got a Crystal Maiden at 275, moving at turtle speeds.
We'll see how well the speedy skeleton man can do in his offlane, because if he does get caught out, I guess he also has to Decrepify eventually. I don't know, I feel like if he goes too far ahead, gets caught by Shackle from the tree line or something, you might still end up dying without support, but...
It'll take quite a few hits to kill this Pugna now.
Yeah.
So Morana kind of has an advantage in this lane. She's got slightly higher base damage, but also at level 1 and 2, she has the wave clear advantage, because you oh, did Doom eat?
Yeah, he just ate the Enchanter's Creep. They could have stun off though, but yeah,
that's one way to deal with her.
Yeah.
And Enchantress really isn't at full potential unless she has 2 creeps moving into the... Oh, he's even blocking the camp. Great stuff, great stuff.
Already proving to be quite the nuisance here up against the Enchantress, and of course this ward also helping out. Being the exact eye on these rotations, so instead Bignum just forced to walk to the other side jungle. Find a creep there.
Yeah, but definitely not the start you want on Enchantress. I think Bignum's plan was definitely to pressure this bottom lane as much as possible, just because, you know, Crystal Maiden and Venomancer aren't heroes that trade hits well with an Enchantress, and I think it's doing a little bit of a loop right now. Getting a little low.
Whoa. Okay. Not quite expecting this, but hey, there was Mac just walking around, ring around Rosie, just running away from Always on the Fly in a very interesting way, and Inception was there, a bit of a slow there from the Q, and 2 hits were more than enough for Dahak to get the first blood.
Yep, and you know, Pugna's a hero that's hard to catch, but when you do catch him, he only has 1 armor, so takes a lot of damage from those Ursa right clicks. That should put Dasak in a nice position this lane.
Right. Look at this bottom lane a little bit here. Cheshire Cat up against the door. Not a fun matchup for Legion Commander, but you can purge some of these things with press the attack and keep yourself healed up. And also making his way in, but yeah, Azik, next guy who just has no issues whatsoever dealing with these creeps.
Creep does get denied, however, so won't get the EXP from that. And you know, as long as this Venomancer and Crystal Maiden play defensively in the bottom lane, I don't think they'll ever die. Like, Legion Commander is not exactly a hero that can catch a Venomancer, especially if you get Galed.
Yep.
But this is kind of a sad game for Doom, right? He's still level 1. I mean, ideally for a Doom, you hit level 3 at around this time, and you have that level 2 Scorched Earth to sort of do as much damage as possible. And so, I think in an ideal scenario for Doom this game, you're level... Oh, some action.
Turn things around, perhaps here to get the slow off on King R. Always on the fly, gets a shackle, Starhawk. Nice little Decrepify play there, so no instant follow-ups. Good Storm too, but he might still die to one more right click. He will. Starhawk fast enough on his feet, even without the face boots up and running just yet.
He's gonna regret poking Always Wanna Fly with that Inferno Blade there, but
yeah.
I think in an ideal Doom game, you're like level 3 and then you roam on mid on the Sniper with level 2 Scorched Earth, just because Sniper doesn't have an escape mechanism, and it should be a fairly easy kill, especially if you follow it up with a Morana. But instead, he's level 2 right now. He's got level 1 Inferno Blade, which... Well, Morana's taking a lot of damage mid.
Yeah, Staff still available for the Sniper, so he knew he could take the straight very effectively after Ninja. All he really has is in tangos right now, and he's flying another self out soon. But yeah, Kuman having a really good time with 30 and 4 to the 24 and 5, so lightly making his way ahead, and he's almost has the shrapnel maxed out too.
Yep, and so I think there's more pressure on Effect to make something happen in the early game, just because... Oh, mid lane.
God, Alpha Ninja. Bignum
What's
not
that
quite in a
shrapnel?
position to snipe him out, but yeah. Gotta be really careful.
And so there's a lot more pressure on Effect to make something happen out of the early and mid game, just because Gambit have 3 heroes that sort of scale well, right? The Ursa, the Legion Commander, the Sniper, they all benefit a lot from farm, whereas Effect have 2 heroes that kind of want to make stuff happen early, the Pugna and the...
Gonna go on bottom, Azik. Slowed down a little bit here as there's a small little Satyr as well, but not slowed down enough. Cheshire Cat in the middle, throws on a nuke here, dropping lower and lower, gets a frostbite off on the center, it's about the time out anyway, so no real big effect there, but they do have the Moonlight Shadow covering fire from the middle lane, and that'll keep Azik alive. Well played in that sense.
Bit of a good exchange for Gambit, considering that they have a Shrine to heal right back up, so there is potential for them to sort of come back into the lane and maybe even expect a rotation from Always Wanna Fly or the Sniper.
Shadow Shaman's TP on cooldown though for a little while. Not gonna be able to be joining anytime soon, so instead they just take it slow for the time being. Azik's still alive, and Cheshire Cat is also not quite level 6 yet, so if you're gonna have a choice, you make that kind of rotation when you have the duel to benefit off of as well. No King, oh okay, that's a haste duel on him. Still only level 3 though.
So it's not easy for either team to make a rotation right now, just because they don't have these classic position for initiators like Earth Spirit, Earth Shaker, and Spirit Breaker.
Yep.
But middle, got the net.
Walks all the way around here. He needs some help. Kuman does have one shrapnel down. Verify keeping alive a little bit longer, but not long enough. That's one fly all he can do is soak up some experience now. Turns out to be a lot of bursts here with Mechlor, Starstorm, and the Infernal Blade and whatnot. So, yeah.
Nice kill for Morana there. I mean, it puts her slightly ahead of the Sniper, but you know, it's not quite enough. I think in order for Effect to really take control of this game, they have to kill the Ursa or take one of the
Cheshire Cat is going ham. He does have the duel, and he also has Bignum to try and help out, and they have enough damage to actually get the win. Azik, Frostbite among the creeps, that's timing out before the Frostbite can kill it, so feels Batman right there.
Yeah, but you know, Venomancer's a hero that's okay with getting ganked like that as long as his team is making use of the space, and so I imagine when this Venomancer is back up, Effect might try to make something happen in the top lane, just because there's going to be a full HP Venomancer with a TP available.
Yep. I mean, he's on top of the net worth chart right now. He's just had complete free farm for timing. His face boots going for the Mask of Madness as a standard. Once he has that, he will be looking towards the Roche Pit too. So far, Mac made rotation back together with King R. They're smoking up. Azik also in the neighborhood. They're looking for mid again. Kuman in pretty decent position. Looking for the rune. Fortunately for him, I guess it doesn't spawn there. Else he would have maybe gone down to grab it, but he's still
get caught here, I think.
He could still get caught, yeah.
Decrypify into Frost Nova, perhaps?
Oh, that is coming in from all the way behind, so there's no retreat path for him. He will fall very easily to the 4-hero rotation.
Get the courier! Get the courier. Well, that Shrapnel's doing a lot of work on Pugna though, but you know, this mid tower's gonna open up. This mid tower's gonna open up a lot of the map for Effect, and it also makes it harder for Gambit to sort of take a team fight around Roshan. So fairly good movement for them. That definitely felt very calculated, right? They smoked 4 heroes into the mid lane, and up top.
So Doi should die here. Duel to start off with. Darkhawk and Stare provide extra damage. Azik coming in a little bit late, but they have a few heroes coming in. The arrow will miss, but it should still have enough damage for Always Want to Fly. All on the cover of Moonlight Shadow 2. So Ursa, they crepified up. It's life drained down. Mac will die still on the side of Shrapnel as well as the ultimate King R. No way to get back here, and his Mono Shadow will time out. Kuman looking for the kill here, but it's also a Zeke to try and help out a little bit more with the Frostbite. Alpha Ninja coming through with a leap. Now has the mana for Starstorm. Doesn't get it off here as it gets hexed. Still being brought down. Cheshire Cat coming back into the fray. One last right click for King R. One more zap. They lose the sniper. They lose the Ursa. Cheshire Cat always want to fly. At the very least, making this a favorable trade in terms of numbers.
Yeah, so after a fight like that, you have to God bless the fight recap for showing us that Gambit did come out slightly ahead of that, but
everyone
not
died
the
in
worst.
effect. Holy hell.
Yeah, not the worst exchange for a fact. I mean, they do kind of delay the Ursa. Now the Ursa showing top. They know that the Roshan attempt's not going to happen any soon. The Ursa doesn't have his Mask of Madness, and so, you know, I think compared to last game, Effect are sort of doing a lot better of a job in the early game of addressing the Ursa so far with that gank attempt, and then now also just making sure that they're not in a position where Dansai can just walk into the pit and take Roshan for free.
Yep.
At least so far, anyway.
Well, the haste rune on Zeke being a bit annoying, but might still get caught out here. I think that's that Centaur Conqueror will not be in position now to cancel the DP. It's a very cheeky movement, as they say, but he does get away with it. It's kind of a style too.
And a haste rune is one way to sort of override the slow movement speed of the Crystal Maiden, and it looks like Venomancer actually TP's back top after pushing up bottom, so they're ready to continue pressuring this Ursa. I mean, Gambit's lineup, they have to sort of fight decisively, right? Otherwise their tier 1 top is going to die in a hurry.
Yep.
And so Gambit, their team fight is kind of weird. They're reliant on blinks. Oh, always want to fly.
Get caught out here, throws on a hex, but there are plenty of heroes around him. Just gonna give him up eventually, but it looks good instead. Perhaps focusing on mid if they can get some sort of control on Alpha Ninja. Now he still has to leave. He's getting that kill himself, and now the Moonlight Shadow to help them move on and be safe against any sort of counterplay potential from Gambit.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Mac pressuring the top tower. That should give Effect sort of this map control on the left side of the map with the mid tower down and the top tower down. So
Dire's top tower.
Effect definitely applying the pressure a lot better than they did in game 2, and you know they have the heroes to do it now. They have Venomancer and Pugna, two of the best heroes at slow sieging in the early game.
Ooh, good area here from Alpha Ninja. Intercepts leading commander, but Cheshire Cat pretty tanky at this point, especially with the Puma shield. I want to continue that pressure. Yeah, we see Effect setting up around this Roche, but they keep the Plague Wards inside. They really want to prevent this Ursa from going for the Roshan, so instead he goes for hero kills on the other side of the map. That also works.
Effect also have a lot of ways to scout out the Roche, right? You have Venomancer wards, you have Arrow, you have Frost Nova, and so
yep.
You know, Gambit, they're not in quite a position to take Roche, but they might actually try to go for a gank on Mirana here.
It is nighttime, so they walk up for the Hex. Certain wards committed as well, so just to make sure.
Slightly overkill, but you know, kill equals secured. They managed to net a kill on the Mirana.
Fortunately, they didn't have Legion Commander there for the duel, but Cheshire Cat, the
Not
reason he wasn't there was it a double smoke?
Not quite the right side of the map to go for a gank, especially since since they don't get an objective out of that. But Gambit, you know, they smoke up. They're looking for a kill on the top lane, or potentially a Roshan as well.
Maybe both. Sadoi making his way, just throwing down a ward. Cheshire Cat, his smoke will break.
Dire's top tower.
Let's scout it out from there. They have to go high ground if they want to make something happen here. Big will scout out that fact. Cheshire gets blinked though. It's being cancelled by the Plague Wards. It's always the annoying part of playing against Venomancer. The Doom comes out on Ursa, still dodging some of that initial damage with the ultimate. King R shouldn't have fallen here. The ultimate being channeled will finish him off, or help finish him off the duel. In the meantime, up on the Venomancer will not lead to a victory, but will get the kill. But at what cost? So much damage being done in the meantime. Triple kill for Alpha Ninja as he comes in to snipe 3 low health heroes. Chandra's big and barely able to make his own way out of there, and Kuman, well, he was far enough in the back. Is that worth it, really?
You know, effect. I think they're gonna get a lot of damage on this tier 1 top and or tier 2 top. So you know, it was kind of a weird fight for Gambit to begin with, just because the Ursa got doomed quite early and got kited quite early, and so I can't really say a team won that team fight particularly, but definitely effect they're in a much better position just because Gambit didn't get Roshan and.
I think you'll be fine, but only just. But yeah, I mean, at the very least, Arthur and Jay won that fight. Got 900 gold off of that with the 3 kills.
Mag's getting closer to his Atos, which should help him kite the Ursa.
Yep.
Your Venomancer is also getting close to a 4-staff. It definitely feels like all the heroes on their map are like slightly underfarmed for this stage of the game. I think there's just been so much map movement and so many kills happening that, or so many kills on cores happening that none of the cores on either team have really felt like they were in a position to just free farm, and so it really feels like their item progression is kind of slower than where it should be.
Oh, arrow will fly. Get rid of the converted siege creep. Oh, that'll delay this push a little bit.
You notice when the converted siege creep dies, it becomes the animation of the enemy siege creep.
Yeah, a bit odd.
Radiant's bottom tower
I
wonder if it's because like the death animation for siege creeps is tied to the faction it's on.
Yeah, it must be coded in some weird way. Oh, I couldn't tell you how or
Kill
why.
on bottom. Kingdom could be in trouble here. Crystal Maiden's gonna walk up for the frostbite.
Yeah, 3 is around him. No way. No one helping him out, so that's straight up space created here. Meanwhile up top, there's a bit of a fight. I always want to fly, forced to pop the Serpent Wards defensively, but again, Moonlight Shadow, and I don't quite have detection ready to actually do anything with that. Now, well, Plague Wards, kind of good against Serpent Wards to some degree.
And the Plague Wards actually own the Serpent Wards because it's attack counter based for the Serpent Wards, but the Plague Wards have 450 health, and so relatively speaking, like the one Plague Ward can take out like 3 Serpent Wards.
Yep.
In like a one-on-one, so bit of a favorable trade, I suppose.
That extra money is always nice to get. But yeah, where does this leave us? I mean, Gambit, they still haven't really found an opening towards the Roche pit. Venomancer just keeps sitting around this general area, keeps plopping down those Plague Wards. Now up to the point where Ursa even got the blink before the Aegis.
So, you know, Gambit, they're actually not in a bad position, right? It definitely feels like Effect have the tower advantage. They're up 2 tier 1s, I guess, 2 of the important tier 1s, and it feels like Effect are definitely like a lot more confident when it comes to moving out of their side of the map, and so at the same time, Gambit, they're getting farm on their cores, right? Like the Sniper kind of wants to stall this game out as much as possible, just because Sniper has like an easy time this game, the later the game goes, and this Ursa's also not in a bad position. I mean, he's farming up, he has his blink, he actually has kill potential on a lot of heroes here, especially if he finds the Doi on the side.
That is the Ultimate Duel. The ultimate comes out, but the Venomancer still ends up falling. That's 34 damage on TP straight back in case there was any sort of counterplay, but lucky for them. No
Speaking of counterplay, bottom lane.
That is Kuma, and he's actually the one being gone on Alpha Ninja. Yeah, okay, that's a lot of damage with the Decrepify as well.
A bit of a back and forth happening here. I mean, neither team really coming out ahead of this. If anything, it's just going to be both teams in an arms race trying to scale as much as possible into the late game. I don't think this Ursa ever feels like he's in a position to just sneak a Roshan. Or maybe he does with this double damage, but do they see him?
They
see him. They saw him for a second.
Zeke in a good position. Also have that ward up on a high ground. Dahak, and I'll find one. Alpha Ninja has to be careful about fighting him head on.
Yeah, sidestepping that arrow really quick to secure that kill, and he's on the run now, actually. But unfortunately, Effect don't really have any long-range ways to catch the Ursa, and so...
Moved on bottom. Okay, look at this. Another duel comes through. This time on the partner. A little bit of extra help, and they don't get the win, but they do get the kill. What are we looking for?
I mean, Treasure Cat's looking really good on this Legion Commander compared to his Puck in the last 2 games, right? He's just been quite effective at finding these kills, and although they don't get dual damage there, that's still a really big kill for his team.
Yep. He's about to finish up the blade mail as well. It's another 500 gold or so, and you get the last. Nah. Nether war times out before you get blasted in. But yeah, it's. Once you get that, maybe 1 or 2 more dual damage victories, then you can start solo killing some of these targets.
I mean, even with a blade mail alone, I think he
Middle tower
go
is
for
under
solo
attack.
kills. And the big thing for Treasure Cat this game, I think, is that he gets his blade mail and he gets an item like a Shadow Blade or a BKB to just sort of guarantee his initiation in these fights, because you know Legion Commander is one of the heroes that's like best at forcing the enemy team into fighting, because you literally
Radiant's
can't
bottom
run and you
tower
Yeah.
can't
is
cancel it
under
in. You also don't want the hero to die for free, and in the bottom lane actually,
X comes out, TP out from all of us on the fly, the arrow just a little bit too late. And Frostbite also already committed. They used the glyph, so the tower will not die to the Serpent Wards. But they might just choose to deny it here, and yeah, are they already working on it?
Radiant's bottom tower
Base graded, I guess.
been denied.
Map control
space
gained.
created.
Yeah.
No one really died, so if anything, that's a fact. Sort of a winning somewhat with that tower denial, but
Still
neither
gotta feel the
team really
pressure, though.
making any. There's
Yeah.
no like big moves, right? Like in NA Dota by now, some team would have done some kind of macro movement across the map to take Roshan, but Effect actually, they might be the ones to do that if they catch Always Wanna
Yeah.
Fly here.
Again, these are like kills with a foregone conclusion. Just 4 heroes running only against one, the rest of the team not really in position, so yeah. Always One Fly is going to die, but that's better than anyone else really on side of Gambit.
Yeah.
And they're not getting any objectives out of this for the time being anyway. They're popping the Moonlight Shadow, they have a creeper from the mid. So if they want to, they can maybe go for this tier 2 tower. Same time the door is up top, bottom lane is being pressured a little bit by Cheshire Cat and Bignum.
Dire are scanning.
They're not choosing to
And
even go
both-
for that. It's a little bit too scary.
Both teams are kind of just minimizing their losses, making sure they're not getting caught as a group or getting caught next to an objective, and so, you know, neither team's getting a lot out of the map right now. The net worth difference has sort of not really changed much. I mean, it's been plus or minus 1.5k, but at this point in the game, like, that means nothing, and
Yeah.
you know, I think... Oh, Gambit's actually making a big move. They might actually just try to sneak Roshan. There is a Venomancer Plague Ward in the pit, but, you know, they might just feel like they're
Oh.
in a position
Yeah.
to... Yep.
They say screw it, let's go for it, but Effect they grouped up north, so it's a bit of
There's
a
a haste run on
momentum
Ursa,
for
I should
him.
also mention that.
Ron
so-
also has TP's crones, so yeah, they're going for this. Russian down to half health, Darkseid down to half health as well now. Pops the ultimate to just dodge that, the Crepify. Always want to fly in a minute, will die first. Now the duel comes out though here, they find Alpha Ninja, do enough damage here, Darkseid coming through, but well, that's the Crepify and Alpha Ninja, so he's still alive. The Doom on Legion Commander, an absolute disaster for Gambit. Triple kill for Zeke of all people, as they now farm up the Serpent Wards, and they can maybe even finish up Roshan themselves.
Thanks you.
And
Oh, no.
with a Crystal Maiden triple kill, you know, in fact, they secure the team fight, and that was actually a little bit of a crazy attempt for Gambit, so, you know, after the last 5 minutes of me saying how neither team has really accomplished anything big, you know, in fact, they win the first team fight quite big. They get a Roshan, they get 4 kills, and so, you know, Effect are definitely looking on track to win this game now.
Yeah.
This'll come in handy.
Huge boost in the net worth here, as the Aegis will also keep them safe for a long time. And it's all down to even the duel, that counterplay up against the Legion Commander. And Darkseid also, he was blinking in there to try and help out his buddy, but it was the
He had
Marauder
already
who
used
was...
his ult.
Yeah. And the Marauder was also decrepified. Matt got it off on Alpha Ninja, so it's... Like, there was no way for them to actually burst them down at that moment.
And so the interesting thing going into the late game is that Sniper is normally a hero that's really good at defending high ground, but you can't really defend your high ground against an Aether Lens Pugna just because, you know, the
What the hell? Ah, okay.
Bit of a quick kill on the Crystal Maiden 3x kill streak.
It's a pinata strat, that's what this is.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, give
Like-
Crystal Maiden a triple kill so then Ursa can farm that up. Oh well.
Well, we will probably see Effect sort of try to slow siege this tower top, or at least force the heroes of Effect back. Even if their Crystal Maiden is missing, I think they can do this, and so,
Dire's top tower has fallen.
you know, if anything, Effect are trying to just pull Gambit back in front of their base, just the same way that Gambit did in game 2.
So far they've been successful, a couple of TPs. Coming back here, T3 tower already down, 600 health points. Won't catch anyone else. Little bit of pressure down bottom, but only from creeps, so nothing really to write home about.
Radiant are scanning.
It's Effect to
So
come out ahead here.
They put quite a bit of damage on the tier 3, so it's gonna go down quickly. And, you know, tier 3s are super important because they open up the shrines. So,
Yep.
you know, Effect I imagine will continue to try to do this as long as they have the Aegis and as long as their lanes are in nice positions.
Is there any way for Gambit to kind of try and stabilize again? Just, I mean, Cheshire Cat is working on the Shadow Blade, but he's not gonna have it for a while. Is there any way for him to just use the Blade Mail just to try and create some space?
Keep the lanes out as much as possible. Make sure you have good vision on the map and go for pickoffs before Effect are sort of in a position to group up on high ground, because, you know, you can tell, like, Effect, they're kind of feeling pressured by the lanes, right? They put the Mirana back bottom. If they weren't feeling pressured, they went... Oh,
That is. Go try and win that duel, take off the Aegis immediately. The duel will not be won.
Prizes.
But they got what they came for regardless. Now they just scramble. Get the hell out of there. Pretty good.
so, you know, that prevents Effect from kind of high grounding freely for a while. Aegis was the main way that Mirana was able to get into these fights without having to worry about much. Effect are actually smoked up as 3.
Try and find someone here that's maybe sticking around, farming up the jungle, and in this sense, it is Starhawk. Oh, Mag, I think he messed up. Yeah,
Really did.
illusion here, dropping down another blast on top of it.
But, you know, they get to set up some more vision, they get to set up for this tier 2 bottom, so at the least they'll get a tier 2, but Sniper continuing to farm, not quite highest net worth, but certainly a force to be reckoned with this game.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Glyph will delay the tower push a little bit, and looks like Gambit don't want to defend it. Instead, they're just trying for some extra money. They're just farming elsewhere on the map. Always on the fly. It really wants his Blink Dagger. Still super far away from it, unfortunately. But what we can do now is to just plop the wards down on his tier 1 tower, get some extra money for him as well as the rest of his team, and that's exactly what he's doing.
And, you know, Mag picks up a Blink, which makes him super mobile in these fights and actually able to sort of get out and get out and in of these fights really easily, especially against a hero like Sniper. You know, that Blink's going to be really useful for Mag to sort of get in the right position for the ultimate.
Tier 2
Not a
goes
lot
down.
of easy ways to cancel it. What was that?
Tier 2 goes down, so Effect, they... I mean, even
yeah.
without the Aegis, they're making the most of that here. They're just playing very aggressively. They know that Gambit has a hard time fighting into the full 5-man lineup right now, so they just claimed all the objectives that they could, and they only lost tier 1 tower top forward, which, let's face it, it's not really that much of a difference if it's there or not at this point in the game.
There's a Lincoln's up on the Mirana, so he's no longer an easy dual target, and Treasure Cat's not gonna have a Lincoln's Breaker soon, but there should be a fight starting soon.
Start off with the Doom here under the cover of Moonlight Shadow. Treasure Cat is done goofed. That's all I gotta say to this one, and Bignum, he sidesteps the arrow, so he should be fine.
So that's the Legion Commander is the only they start a fight, so if I kind of have a window to make something happen here for at least 40 seconds, but it looks like they'll just back off and try to get their lanes out instead.
Working our way towards mid. Top lane, no one's reacting to that just yet, but not the biggest of deals. Is this game just gonna
Big
snowball
Num
out of control now for effects?
Big Num might actually go down here.
Oh, yeah, he might indeed. The arrow connecting after the ATOS.
But as you mentioned before, it does definitely feels like Effect are going to snowball out of control here. It feels like they're so much more mobile and they're so much more able to control the map that Gambit might be locked in their base for a bit. I mean, Sniper's not a hero that pushes out lane safely. He doesn't have an escape mechanism. He's fairly squishy, and so I wouldn't be surprised if you see Gambit just stuck in their base at least until it's time to contest the next Roshan.
Yep. Now they're taking the chance on two sides. Legion Command and Dahak. They're gambling on the fact that Effect is split up a little bit more, so they're looking for these quick pickoffs for the duel and the follow-up from the Ursa. Perhaps
Feels like Gambit,
some sort of map control.
perhaps. I think Gambit's best chance might be to just buy a gem, deboard as much of the map as possible so that your Legion Commander and Ursa can start going for pickoffs, because realistically Gambit don't win a 5-on-5 teamfight when they're 11k net worth behind, so their best plan might be to just go for as many pickoffs as possible, which twofold, it will stall the game for them so they can scale a little bit longer, but also you know, it just puts their heroes back into the game, because relatively speaking, this Ursa and the Legion Commander are quite behind the cores of Effect.
Oh, they're pushing at bottom, Effect's pushing at top. Who blinks first is the question here, and
Dire's top tower is
well,
Mag's gonna put a lot of damage on this tier 3.
Yeah. Gonna push extremely fast here in Effect. So, well, that's a tier 3 down, just like that.
Radiant's bottom
Just like that, and you know, that secures a little bit of map control, but in the bottom lane I always want to fly.
Also, the rotation back at the very least, but the rest of Gambit can't really make use of that. Their Effect already way too far back to be caught out by while they're retreating, so does do a lot of damage here to those tier 3 bottom, so if they get the creep with that again, they can open up shrines themselves, but in the meantime, they're still in a really rough position.
So, you know, the shrines are open for Effect now, so they can continue to take more map control, but that also gives Gambit an opportunity to sort of find another fight if Effect aren't careful with taking these shrines.
Yep.
Effect have been doing a really good job of sort of moving around the map safely, but you know, Gambit for some reason right now they're feeling confident, or maybe it's because their backs are against the wall that they're starting to move out of the map, and they might actually middle lane.
Let's get doomed up. And might just be a staff here, but Darkseid turning things around here, trying to burst on King R, but he'll be helped out. The arrow actually connects into the Enchantress while Legion Commander takes out through Doom. Darkseid now with his BKB, but cannot finish up another one because they're kiting him around, they're decrapifying his targets. He's just struggling to stay alive. Blink forward from King R, beautiful with the stomp. Setting up for another kill, and going from bad to worse. His Sniper just thrown an ultimate, gets caught out himself with the arrow. Oh no, just going from bad to worse.
I think Mag dodged the assassinate with Blink, but you know, that aside, you know, Effect took a really good team fight against Gambit. They catch the Legion Commander with the Doom, and so, you know, with that Legion Commander out of the fight, there's really no way for Gambit to catch any of Effect's heroes, so you know, Effect just slowly kite and win the team fight. You know, Roshan's up, a buyback's expended on Sniper, and the lead from Effect is just slowly expanding more and more, so
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised that with this second Aegis, Effect choose to go for multiple Raxes, or maybe even end the game.
Movement has been scouted out, but Gambit has absolutely no way of getting in there on time. Extra attack speed being used from the leap. Roshan will end up dropping. Oh, Moonlight Shadow. Trying their best. They haven't lost Drax yet. I guess that's a silver lining for Gambit. Still have some.
That's a long range Atos.
Oh, it is indeed. Being unwilling to go follow up though. Top lane is actually being pressured quite a bit. Massive amounts of range creeps here. Do they really care at this point? It feels like they're one team fight away from actually just straight up winning the game, in effect.
Yep. I mean, Effect are one team fight away, and Gambit are so far from winning this game, especially if Effect hold on to their buybacks, or at least hold on to these outer tier 1s and tier 2s.
Could be a freebie. That is Blink Duel.
It's a poor cheesy maiden.
Yeah.
Brings the Legion Commander up to 52 dual damage. Starting to work on that BKB. Feels like he might need... Feels like all of Gambit actually need like a couple of Lincoln Spheres just to protect them from the Atos and protect them from the Doom specifically.
Yeah. Tough road ahead of him. I still feel like if this game goes longer and longer, Gambit should come out ahead. But like you were talking about that as well, the late game potential. But with 20k ahead on effects, that's just a pipe dream at this point.
I think Effect have shown in the last couple of games that they're really good at just playing quite disciplined and not giving up too many kills. Bignum being chased out top.
Oh no, no! Oh my god, why?
Poor courier.
Oh no.
That gem is huge for them, right? It gives them a little bit more map control. I don't think they had a gem before that, or...
No.
Yeah, they definitely didn't, so... You know, in fact, they will continue to get a map control advantage, and a lot of these wards from Gambit are actually placed on the low ground, so... It's just a matter of time before Mag finds them.
It's just rubbing salt in the wound. It's losing it like that, especially, like, it's one thing to be caught out with it, but having the courier be caught out on the way to you as you make your escape, it just feels really bad, because it's something that could have been prevented.
Classic.
Yeah. I know, I don't think I've ever seen that before, honestly. But hey, effects can make use of that.
Oh, Mag didn't get caught in the smoke, so a 4-man smoke coming out from Effect with Mag, the lone person
hero.
on smoke. And actually,
He's
Gambit actually spotted that smoke because of the sword, so
yeah.
They'll back off into the base. I mean, it does give Effect sort of a surprise positioning, of especially if they go in through this top lane.
Like, we'll just want to sneak in. Yeah,
They might just go for these 2 Raxes. Gambit kind of have to get the perfect duel to win this fight.
Start off with the Doom as well as the arrow onto the Ursa, so he's in a lot of trouble. He'll be bursted down immediately, and the Netherward also doing a decent amount of decent work. He gets snapped off. Immediate buyback though, always on flag. It's a shackle off for a couple of seconds, but not much beyond that. Leading commander gets control up as well before the duel comes out. So far, really good positioning from Effect. Fortification and ultimate being blocked by the Lincoln Sphere. Bignum trying to poke in Prod. Kuma now with a Hurricane Pike, and Darkseid coming back in. They took in the Aegis. That's about it. Try and keep them alive. My King are coming in. Sidori with a 4-star forward. Just creating space at this point. Cheshire Cat falls. No buyback on him. And that's the first Rax falling. They also want to finish up the range. And Effect, they haven't lost a single hero yet.
And I think Effect are gonna keep going, or at least try to pressure this mid tower a little bit. I mean, Legion Commander's down for 60 seconds. That's the main initiation from Gambit. They're 28k net worth ahead, and you know, I don't think this push is gonna slow down.
Yeah, Sniper. I mean, doesn't even have shrapnel charges left. Now that Atos into the life drain, keeping Bignum away for a little bit. Dodging a lot of the shots here that Gambit trying to take. The triple arrow, one of them actually connects into Shadow Shaman, so this should be a free kill, and it is. And a couple of right clicks from Alpha Ninja, all they needed. Another Nether Ward down, makes it really, really hard for them to engage until Sniper finishes it off, but even that's impossible because of the Decrepify on it. Another set of racks down, and look at bottom lane. That's next one on the list. They'll help out the Creeper for a little bit, but they really don't need to.
Should be Megas.
That's 60 seconds down on Legion Commander. Feels like an eternity. Mega creeps. All but inevitable. Darkseid is trying to do something here. Finds a Crystal Maiden. That's good. Kuman also chipping away as much as he can. Gets rid of another Nether Ward. And, well, got a Crystal Maiden. Not much else though. Dahak dies again. This time no buyback to work with. Alpha Ninja also very tanky at this stage in game. In fact, turns things around. Cheshire Cat, he used the duel on the Lincoln Sphere. Not that it would have mattered. He ends up dying. And I think we're seconds away from GG call, that is. Well, Gambit. Strong performance here in game number 2, but couldn't quite make it work in game 3. The moment they fell behind, they couldn't re-establish map control, they couldn't re-establish anything.
The game was so even for a really long time, right? But Effect were very proactive this game in terms of their positioning around Roshan and making sure that they were actually ready for any potential Roshan attempt from Gambit. And Gambit kind of got a little bit greedy there. They tried to rush and sneak a Roshan, but Effect, you know, off of that one team fight victory with the first Roshan, I think they just rode that advantage all the way until the end.
Yeah. On the graphs, it was around like the 25-minute mark, I believe, when that all went down, and that's when the draft started to pick up. Right, so pretty interesting series. Effect, they do come out ahead. They knock out Gambit here in the Perfect World Masters CIS qualifiers, but they have another challenge in front of them right the hell now, actually, because their game up against Vega Squadron should be happening right now if the schedule is correct. So we'll see if we get into that. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break, so see you soon.